Hey everybody, this is Rainbow Reviews. Today I'm reviewing Lovecraft Country Episode 2. So this is going to be a spoiler-free review, kind of unlike my last review of Episode 1. So just right off the bat, this episode is very different from Episode 1. But I'll get into that, and I'll start off with what I actually liked. So in this one, the creepiness factor is at an 11. Like at the first episode, it was at around a 6 or a 7. This is definitely at 11. It's a lot creepier. And if you've actually seen this episode, you'll probably know the one scene I'm talking about. Long story short, this isn't really a spoiler, it's just something that happens. A cow gives birth to a slug. It's really kind of gross. But anyway, I like that it was more creepy than the last one. But there was a lot of stuff that I didn't really like about this one. This episode is radically different in tone. The first episode had tons of racial tension, and this episode had barely any. If there was any, the supernatural aspect overshadowed it, and I wasn't a huge fan of that. This episode is very tonally inconsistent, and I think it suffers because of it. There's a point in this episode where characters get split up, and the situations they get in are so weirdly different. I won't get into it too much, but again, if you've seen this episode, you definitely know what I'm talking about. It's weird. So, the story of the episode overall isn't like a bad one. It's just it took a hard left turn after the first episode. It's a lot weirder, but more unconventional story. As a standalone episode, it works. I just think the stuff that happens in this episode could have had a little bit of better setup. Not necessarily foreshadowed in the first episode or anything, but the ball didn't roll up the hill correctly. It wasn't a smooth transition from scene to scene, and it left me a little bit confused in some parts as to what was going on. So the story could have flowed better, and just in general, maybe put a few scenes in the middle here and there to kind of better explain what was going on. So the visuals were noticeably kind of downgraded in this episode. There's a lot more use of CGI in this one. Heavier visuals, heavier computer-generated stuff. And it wasn't really that good. There's a point at the end of this episode where it all kind of culminates in this climax of the episode, but it looks really kind of cheesy. But, they are working on a Netflix episode budget, so I can understand why. I just wasn't a big fan of it. I would have preferred if they had not had as many special effects, I guess, but made those special effects look more, not realistic, but less weird, So the visuals, they could have been a lot better. They were definitely better in the first episode. Now the writing for this episode, it was pretty good. The writing in general for both of these episodes, they're pretty good. They're up to snuff. I like it. It's never boring. The writing itself doesn't create any pacing issues. So I'd say it gets a pass in the writing category. It's good. The music, I can't really remember any standout moments with the music. So I'm just going to say it's pretty par for the course with this one. Not much to say here. So the action in this one was pretty good. By comparison, the action in episode 1, it's kind of heavy-handed with the bloodiness and the monsters. This one, the only fighting you get for real is hand-to-hand combat in a few scenes, and it does work a lot better with the time period it's set in, and I like that the action wasn't completely supernatural in this one. The characters are pretty good in this episode. It's not really a weak point. In this episode, the characters do get a little more separated with their ideologies. Atticus, he believes differently than Letitia and his uncle. So I like that they're kind of separating the characters into different tropes or into different personalities. It's a lot better. So originality, as far as uniqueness goes, this episode is very unique. I wouldn't call it a good kind of uniqueness, but it is very unique nonetheless. So those were just my thoughts on episode 2. It's more of a quicker, short form review, spoiler free. I think I'm going to keep doing spoiler free reviews from now on, but let me know down in the comments if you want me to do a spoiler review, because I'll start doing that, and I'll probably have a lot more to say about each episode and when they come out. So I'm still going to watch episode 3, but hopefully it's more tonally consistent, and I think the director's style of directing, Jordan Peele and J.J. Abrams, I feel like they just kind of clashed in this episode. Like with Us and Get Out, Jordan Peele productions, those felt very consistent tonally. And, J.J. Abrams hasn't been that consistent with tone recently in his career. So maybe they're conflicting in this episode. Maybe this was just not a good episode and they'll get better. But yeah, I feel like this episode was kind of a letdown. It really could have done better. But, I'm not completely off the series yet. I'm going to watch the next episode. And thanks for watching.